Is this thing on?
Are you ready, Matt?
You're listening to Box Office Bingers with Matt Diaz and Ernesto Santos.
Good evening, folks. We have a wonderful evening's entertainment lined up for you.
We know each other. He's a friend from work.
Box Office Bingers.
And the only way that I know how to do it is to find you a bloody good dump.
He's my friend. I don't have friends. I got family. I can do this all day.
You know, if you put your mind to it, you can accomplish anything.
So now we're going to move on to our spoiler review of Disney's Pixar Soul, which I know it's been very high on the anticipation list. Back when we made what we're most excited for 2020, this movie was on here. So Ernesto, I'm curious to hear, what do you think of Soul?
Obviously, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a great movie. I thought it was a great story. The one thing I did look up because I was so excited because I thought that Jamie Foxx was gonna, act and play the piano for the role, but come to find out that it wasn't him. And actually, it was John Batista. There's a whole NPR article on him. That he did. They actually recorded him playing, and that's what you see during the movie. But,
Interesting.
I loved the jazz themes to it. The whole concept of the film is great. Everybody finding their inner spark. Kind of finding your purpose in life. It was a great premise to kind of introduce that, obviously, mainly to children, but obviously for them to once again show it to us. Kind of giving their take on it, very similar to how they showed feelings in Inside Out. It's like kind of giving us another aspect of the human, the human experience, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah.
But I love seeing the great before to understand that, to kind of plant that seed into people, like you are not your body, you're so much more than just your physical form, I guess, there's something more inside of everybody. Tina Fey I thought Tina Fey and Jamie Foxx played off well together.
Very well.
She's hilarious. I think she's funny in anything she does. I actually, when I first saw it, I kind of saw it going one way. I thought they were just going to go through a journey in the great, and wherever they were for her to find her purpose. But I liked how they threw the twist in that they had to go back to Earth to find out, for her to experience, and it took her experiencing life to find out what she wanted from herself, to find out that she did want to live, that all she needed to do was get out there and experience life and, bask in. I noticed that they made it a point to have her bask in the little things, the first time you try a piece of pizza, or really understanding that you may appreciate something more than somebody else because whatever spark you have inside of you. So I feel like there was a lot of hidden themes that they were trying to pack in there, and I think they did a really effective job of doing that. I think I need to watch it again to kind of get a full viewing on it, but overall, I really enjoyed the film. I thought it was great. Jamie Foxx is incredible. I fanboy over him a little bit, but I just think he's an incredible actor. Have you ever seen him? Have you ever seen Ray?
No, I haven't.
That is a movie you need to see.
Yeah,
from what I understand, he lip synced for because he didn't want to take away from Ray Charles's iconic voice. Mm-hmm. But he from what I understand, he did play the piano for that role.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, it was great. The whole, when she's sitting outside the club, kind of when she has the moment when I think they realize that she found her purpose. Just her noticing all the little things. Reevaluating your purpose. It's about the little moments that make it all worth it. And at the end, the whole self-doubt, kind of showing how powerful words are, and like what you say to other people actually matters. you get that self-doubt and how that really puts you down, when he tries to go in to try to save her and he experiences himself saying those hurtful things to her, and that was at her core what was really putting her down, because somebody, like, and you notice that he was bigger. I felt like that was their way of saying, like, that she, like, almost looked up to him. So when your mentor or somebody who you look up to talks down to you like that, that sometimes that it's more hurtful than it is helpful.
Right.
I thought that.
Right.
I think at least that was that's how I perceived it when I saw it.
No, I think so too. Like, I guess, my overall thought of the movie, I really liked it. I thought it was great, but I didn't love it. And the only and that's just how good Pixar is at making their movies. Is that you can have a great movie, but when it's stacked and you compare it to the rest, it's like, but I like, you wanted to love it. I felt like the only thing that I wish it had 10 more minutes. I felt like it ended abruptly, and like you could have had just like one more scene to really pull at your heartstrings, but it just didn't do it for me, and that was my only criticism for the movie, is that I wish there was more of an emotional connection that I was able to have and get. Like, I'm not saying the movie needed to make me cry, but I'm also saying I really wanted the movie to make me cry, because it took it to that next level, that deeper level that Pixar movies can take you to get you to those real moments. But this movie didn't do that. That being said, this was a fantastic movie.
Yeah, and I think it was I kind of have to agree with you. Like, it was a great film. But for me, man, you're saying an hour. Right now the runtime is an hour and 40 minutes. So like, you would want it 10 minutes more. That's almost you're pushing a 2-hour Pixar film.
Yeah,
but
that
just goes to show you how good the movie is, though.
Yes.
Too. That you were at a point that you wanted more, and it was already over a normal movie length. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. For an animated movie.
But I do kind of agree with you. Like, I felt like there was some more they could have explored.
Yeah.
Like, especially with his story, like maybe more of a resolution of where he gets to Earth, but maybe that's not what it was about. Maybe it doesn't matter, because I do feel like they were trying to push that like, you're not your career, or you're not your spark. Like, you're more like, it's about so much more than that. Like, it's almost like it's about the experiences you have with other people. That's kind of what I got from it, So like, all you get was that opening scene you get that him coming back, and he walks through the door, he walks outside, and that's kind of how the movie ends.
Yeah, and I respect the ending, because it's like, and I even wrote down the final word. He's like, where was it here? She asked, "What are you gonna do with your life now that you have a second chance?" For fast forward to the very end of the movie, and he goes, "I don't know, but I'm gonna live every minute of it." That was the whole point of the movie. The movie wasn't about doing what you love. The movie is about just living, just enjoying life. And that's what 22 did, Tina Fey's character, when she got to the real world. She was just enjoying people, pizza, bagels, lollipops, conversations. Like, and then when she was reflecting on everything that she was doing, she heard the wind, the leaves falling, people having conversations, people enjoying their family. That's the point of living, is to enjoy, like you said, the little things, as the movie referred to it as, the regular old living things. That's what's part of it. And then there was even a point in there where one of the Jerrys said, because Joe, Jamie Foxx's character, was like, "So by the way, what was her spark? What made her? What got her to the point that she's allowed to go to Earth now?" And he's like, "What was her purpose?" And he's like, "What are you talking about? Like, what made her want to go?" He said, "A spark isn't a soul's purpose. You and your mentors, your passions, your meaning of life, it's so basic." And he's basically saying it's a lot more than just, "Oh, this is the one thing I'm good at." Like, for Joe, is like, the one thing I'm good at is music, so this is my purpose in life. And it's like, no, it's not that. It's not just music. There's a lot more other things of just enjoy living. All these people, all these little beings, these soul beings, are not looking for their purpose in life. They just found the spark to want to enjoy life. And like those themes, this is not a movie for children. Like like I had to watch the movie twice to understand that it's deep level thinking that what makes this movie so great. But I mean, on the surface level, a child can understand this movie and appreciate it. But this movie goes so much deeper than that. And yeah.
But like my kids, they love it. So
I'm
maybe
sure,
that's
yeah.
good because, you know, a lot of these kids, when they find a movie that they like, they tend to want to watch it like 100 million times. Like they will literally watch the same movie over and over and over and over again because I feel like, you know, maybe they feel like they missed something, so they need to go back and rewatch it to see what they missed, and then they find themselves like quoting certain parts. So maybe but this movie's made you watch it twice. So maybe
Yes.
because of this, maybe that it's got you there. Like how many times do you walk out of a Pixar movie saying, I need to rewatch this movie to get a better under it, so I could feel like I understood it better. Like you said, I'm gonna commit another hour and 40 minutes to this to this piece of work.
Yeah, I mean, I mainly watched it because I wanted to get a fresher, you know, I watched it like 10 days ago, so I want to get a fresher take on it, for the purpose of this podcast. But also, like, I enjoyed the movie. I wanted to see it again just because I wanted to see it again. And the beauty of it now being on Disney Plus, one of the advantages is that I'd have to leave my house. I have to go buy another movie ticket and everything. It was available in my house right now for me to watch it. So it just made it easier for me to watch it again. And, you know, you can have the luxury of pausing at moments that you want to, like, give a closer look at to find the Pixar Easter eggs around. So, like, you have those moments, but yeah, I wanted to watch this movie again because, like I said, it didn't take me to the next level. Like, it was great, but it wasn't amazing. But it was still a good movie where, like, it had me thinking. And I was like, what are you trying to say, Pixar? And like, cause like you're not saying like this again. This movie was presented to if like you got to find your meaning in life, but then at the very end, you're like, oh no, it's not about that. I'm like, then what is it about? You know, so like it took it to the next level on that. And so like this movie, you know, with your kids already enjoying it, when they go back later in life and watch this movie when they're older or showing their kids that, they're gonna look at this and be like, oh, whoa, I didn't even catch all that.
I mean, also even think about what an adult theme they put into that. They basically portrayed him as an unaccomplished middle-aged man.
Yeah.
Who just suddenly dies. Like
Yeah.
they literally 22 goes through his life and says, "Oh wow, you literally amounted to nothing in your life."
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I feel like that's a really dark theme to portray to children, but
absolutely.
But I think in a good way. Like
it wasn't like
to kind of show them that hey, you know, life isn't always so cut and dry. Like you may think that there's a right path, but I think there is no right path. There's just your path. You know what
Correct.
I mean? Like
Yeah.
there is no, you know, everybody's gonna be different. They're gonna go through different things. They're gonna have their highs and lows. There is no correct way to go. You know what I mean? I don't know.
And
I thought that was an interesting way to kind of twist this character, to put their character out there.
Right, and then also for a character to like, you know, have this goal in mind to like, all I want to do is just play music in front of an audience, and he got to that point, and then when he got to that point where it's like, okay, the character should feel fulfilled, he's like, oh, I don't think this is what I want to do. And that's another level to this movie that just gives it that much appreciation. And also, like you were saying, for a character to look back at his life and like, you know, I lived a meaningless life. This is not a life that I wanted for myself. So like, but the movie never took a step forward or didn't end in a way where like, here's what he's going to do to change it. That's up to him to decide, as well as if you're reflecting your own life or your own self to this character, it's up to you as a person to decide how do you want to move forward with your life. Because if you're not happy or if you're following this dream, you know, change that direction to make it worthwhile for yourself.
Agreed.
Like these are huge themes in a movie that is not only I mean those themes in a very short amount of runtime for an hour and 40. Also to be presented in a way for children to understand.
Yeah, I mean they took a pretty hard task on I don't know. I think maybe we got to give them more credit than at least I feel like they took a very hard concept even for adults to grasp with, and made it understandable and enjoyable for all of us to digest.
Yeah, that's exactly what they did. And like even like these beings, these soul characters that were all named Jerry, it's like those aren't easy to comprehend. And they even made very like viewing it a second time, they're like and he's like, "What are you?" Like, "Well, I'm this whatever the case, but I'm in the form of this so you can understand." And it's like they kind of brushed it off. I'm like, "Yeah, like it's complicated, but we're here for it."
Yeah.
And that's exactly and I thought it was funny on a side note. This movie was actually also very funny. Like
Yes.
as far as the dark, like not dark, but like the deep adult themes they had in this movie, it was also hilarious. Like you said earlier, Tina Fey, Jamie Foxx blended very well together. Tina Fey as 22, as a soul that doesn't want to go to Earth, was just very comical. And then like as especially when we first meet her, her. She was like when one of the Jerrys like dig her out from wherever she's hiding, and then they're like, "Oh, she's a little bit of a rough one, but you'll be fine with her." And she's like, "I'm gonna make your life a living hell," or something along those lines. And then he's like, and it's like that's just funny. Like I laughed twice at that moment. It was pretty comical. But yeah, I think this is just a very funny movie, and and I also agree with you of how I expected for this movie. I was surprised that the movie went to like the Great Beyond and the Great Before stuff very early. I believe it was only like 9 minutes in the movie where he basically died when he fell into the sewer. And then I was like, oh damn, we're already here. And I thought we were just gonna live there for the rest of it. I'm like, oh damn, that was really quick. But then they gave you a little bit of like, oh, well, now we went in the direction you weren't expecting. We're going to go back to Earth. And now it's an out-of-body experience where Joe's a cat and 22 is Joe. And they stuck with that for a while. But I mean, it took for him to be out of his body to realize maybe all the flaws in his own life.
Yeah, like maybe like that was your concept of like maybe take a step. Like a way to take a step back and reevaluate your life.
Yeah, absolutely. And I thought the scene of the barber shop was beautifully done.
Yes.
Like, it's they really like what they did. What I loved about this movie was also highlighted and embraced black culture. Yep. Like, and they put it right in the forefront when it comes to jazz music, when it comes to the scenes inside the barbershop, even the mother, and all the nuances that Joe's mom had. It was just the attention to detail and the appreciation for everything that also puts this movie in high regard of like, they really focused on things to make sure they got everything right. And on top of that, dealing with adult themes like this. But I really like the scene in the barber where he was like, the barber was like, I really appreciate having this conversation with you. And he was like, we only ever talk about jazz. And he was like, oh, why is that? Well, he never asked me about my life. He just always wanted to talk about jazz. And like, nothing was wrong with that whole, nothing was wrong with the relationship he had with his barber. But then he quickly realizes like, oh, we could have a much deeper relationship if we just talked about something else. And I was just oblivious of that matter.
Because you're so focused. And you mentioned the tailor shop. I remember hearing, but I just looked it up, the Berkeley tailor shop was the inspiration for the movie Soul. So that the tailor shop is based on a real place.
Yeah,
it's right there in the Bay Area. So I thought that was pretty interesting. So it's kind of like what gave it the basis for the movie.
Yeah, and it gave it a sense of realism and the nuance of, like I was saying, like, celebrating and embracing black culture right in front of in a Pixar movie, something that they've never done before, and I'm glad that we are now getting it. And this was a concept that was, it's funny that this movie was supposed to be about an animator, not about a musician. The same concepts, but just like Pete Docter wanted to make, Pete Docter had like these adult themes in his head of like he had this story of like, you know, your soul. I believe there was like a thing that Pixar posted on their Instagram page, and you know, Pete Docter was explaining of how he had all these movies under his belt and these accomplishments, but he felt empty, like he didn't feel whole. And like, why is that? So he thought about it and then turned it into this movie, basically. And then it was about an animator, which he is, but then along the lines, I felt like he took himself out of it. He's like, I think it needs to be about something else. Then he took in Kemp Powers, and then bring it that black experience, the black culture, and change the whole narrative of the story while also keeping the meaning and the soul aspect of it all.
Matt, I'm gonna be honest. The more that we talk about this movie, I feel like I like it more the more that I talk about it. Like, I kind of liked it before, but like after we've kind of talked it out for however long, like just realizing all the little nuances and all the little things and details that they put into this film. I mean, I don't know. I think I want to rewatch it. I definitely want to rewatch it.
It's
like,
a great rewatch.
Do you feel like you got more on the second watch than you did on the first watch?
Yeah, I think so, because obviously, you know, you knew what to expect, so then you're paying attention to other things when you're watching it the second time. And I think like I think earlier in the movie they were hinting at the fact that it's not about finding your purpose, it's about enjoying life itself, like the regular old things of living. Like the regular old living is what they referred to as. And so like they really, and they also really hit it home, and I had a better appreciation for it the second time around, toward the end when he was playing the piano and he took all the things out of his pocket, which was like a half-eaten bagel, a pizza crust, a lollipop, that little flower, and the thing of yarn or string and then I was like, when I watched the second time, I'm like, wait a minute. This guy performed on stage with all of that in his pocket. That's a lot to be having. Like, that's distracting. Like, you couldn't have found a garbage somewhere on the way over to the music hall and be like, hey, you know, this stuff in my pocket, I don't need this to perform. We're good. But also, those were all symbols of the little things in life that, you know, that the movie explained throughout the whole movie. And when he's like slowly realizing how 22 got that spark, they were just showing images of like seeing your friends, your family, you know, appreciating music. He was riding a bike for the first time. He was enjoying fireworks. He was eating pie. He was teaching, you know, they did a flashback to him teaching the student that led him into this gig in the first place. He went to the beach with his mom. He was riding the train during sunset. It's like, it's those little things, that the calm moments in your life where you just look up and like, wow, this moment in time is great. Like, it's nothing big is going on. I'm just walking along the beach, and it's nice and it's peaceful and it's just is. And I was able to appreciate that a lot more the second time I watched it rather than the first time, because the first time I'm trying to figure out what the thing is, but you're telling me what the thing is, but I'm not accepting what the thing is.
Yeah.
So.
And we didn't even get into the whole flow state, like the in between place, like when you're in the zone,
right?
The zone. Like I thought that was great. Like anybody who's done any kind of like sports or any kind of creative endeavor, like totally understands like when you're in the middle, or even just working, like when you get in that mode, that zone, and when you're completely focused, like when this thing that you're doing requires 100% of your attention. And you're just in it. You're just going through the motions, and you feel yourself in like almost like a flow state. Like that's cool. Like I thought that was kind of cool to teach to introduce that idea into kids.
But also to add another layer to that same zone can also be on a negative side as well. So like when you're in the zone, like it could be for happiness, but also it can be for anxiety and depression, as they also showcased in that same zone. And you're like, oh my God, like again, this movie's not for children, and you're putting out themes in there that's like it's really heavy. Like to tell children like this is a representation of what anxiety looks like. You know, and they even showcased like, and they did a really good job of it, of like somebody like with a metal detector kind of going through the beach, and like at one point he was high, like, this is like, I'm in the zone for happiness, this sparks joy, for passion, and then all of a sudden it consumed him into like this anxiety where he's like, I gotta find something, and then like, so like there is a thin line there where like this could be good, but also don't go too far where it turns bad, and then like it's consuming who you are, and then you get lost in that moment where it meant to be a good thing at first. That's a good point. So yeah, it's like, again, like, and also out of body experiences. I mean, it's all over the place, but it's such a great movie, and obviously, I mean, despite how I felt about wanting more from it, this is going to win Best Picture for Best Animated Movie.
Those are already strong words.
Like, honest, there's no other movie out there that's animated that goes that deep into it. And also, even with the representation of Black culture, like, it's written on the wall, Ernesto. It's there.
Well, what is it up against for this year? Do we know?
I mean,
off the top of your head?
Onward, the other Pixar movie, which it was also great.
Way better. That was a great movie, but I think Soul was better than Onward.
Right, so there's that. Trolls World Tour.
Okay, you can continue. It doesn't compare.
Scoob, the Scooby-Doo reboot. There's a movie on Apple,
2, the new Croods
2. I mean, they were getting positive reviews on that, but like not this level, not this deep. There's also a movie on Apple TV Plus called The Wolfwalkers, which was like, I think currently sitting on 100% and is getting a lot of great reviews. The animation style is fresh, so I think that has a contender. But no way, this is like the year when Coco came out and everyone's like, it's Coco, like okay. It's that one. Yeah, it's there.
I would agree with you because I can't think of anything else that's at the same caliber as this movie that has been mentioned or that we've watched this past year.
Right, and again, because it's funny because I'm giving all of this movie's praise and it definitely deserves it, but at the same time I didn't love it. It was missing that 10 extra minutes, and like it could be as simple, Ernesto, as maybe we take like a flash forward and I'm not saying that 22 needed to be somebody that he interacts with or he ends up maybe teaching her something in life, but it could have been as simple as the way a person across the street was eating pizza. And like Joe knew who that was, but he didn't interact with that person. But he was like, "Oh, look who that is. Fantastic."
Or vice versa. Or vice versa. I was thinking the exact same thing. I said it would have been nice to see who 22 would become. Like, who would she become? And maybe they have like an animated Tina Fey, and she looks at him like enjoying his family, and she just smiles, and he just like she knows who he is, but he doesn't know because she's been in his body.
Correct.
Know what I mean?
That's a good point.
But they don't. But they don't mention if when you go, that's getting really into it. Like, do they have memories of the great before when they dropped down to Earth?
Very true.
Probably not.
Right.
I don't know, but it would have been cool to get some kind of nod to where she went, so that we can see what her life direction would have been.
And so, like, when the movie ended, I was like, "Oh, you're done." Okay. I expected more, but that's just a testament of how good this movie is. Because, like you said, I wanted more from it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, all in all, a great movie. I think it was definitely like as far as Christmas Day releases, Wonder Woman 1984 and Soul were just two good movies to be released during Christmas time.
Yeah. I think more people would agree that with Soul, I mean, Wonder Woman.
That's true.
As we mentioned before, Wonder Woman 1984, that's a hot take.
Yeah, that's right. a little divisive there.
Yeah.
But I like honestly, my whole like day after Christmas is like I watched the first Wonder Woman, I saw Wonder Woman 1984, I recorded the podcast, I had dinner, and I watched Soul, and then I did like a virtual concert of one of my favorite bands. So like it was a good day of just being home and watching shit. So but I just enjoyed everything I watched that day. It was like a solid, like, yeah, this is what I want to do. This is a good day.
This is what's happening.
This is what's happening, and I'm enjoying it. But yeah, I think we are both highly recommending.
Definitely.
To go watch
Soul. And a rewatch. And a rewatch.
If you already watched it, go watch it again, because you might have missed
something.
Yeah. Oh, one last thing to note. The animation, beautiful in this movie.
Yeah. Typical Pixar fashion, though. It was very, very Pixar, but it was beautiful. Yeah. I agree.
but also like to the point where, you know, when Terry was like trying to find Joe and like she went to Earth, when she first went to Earth and she was in the hospital bed, she looked animated in a live action movie. Like, that's how well, in my opinion, the animation was. It's like, oh my god, she looks fake in a real world, but it's both fake in an animated world.
That's crazy.
Yeah, like, how do you do that? Like, whoa, this is blowing my mind right now. But yeah, I enjoy that aspect of it. And just the jazz music. It was also, you know, I loved like I loved that it was included in the movie. So yeah, enjoyed the film all around. So anyway, that is our review on Disney Pixar Soul. Definitely go check it out. Available on Disney Plus right now. Hey, thanks for listening to this edited version of our weekly podcast, Box Office Bingers. If you want to hear the full version of all of our episodes, which includes us discussing entertainment news, movie and TV reviews, guest interviews, and other things we've been watching, you can find us on wherever you listen to podcasts.
And if you want more from us, be sure to hit that subscribe button and find us on our social media channels on Instagram at boxoffice_bingers, Facebook at boxofficebingers, email at boxofficebingers@gmail.com, and Matt, we're even on the Tiki-Takis. We're on the Tiki-Takis at Box Office Bingers. Once again, thanks for listening.